What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, I took a couple of hours rest and I decided, screw it, let's go and talk about the Western Conference and one specific need from each and every single team heading into this upcoming season. And of course, for some teams, it's about their future more than anything. Like I said, there are some teams in this Western Conference, most of them, to be fair, are fighting for this season, are fighting for a championship in this specific NBA season, whereas there are some teams that I think they need to do something maybe this season that's going to help their future. So with that being said, we're going to discuss these teams, what I think they need to do, and ultimately whether or not you guys agree or disagree with my opinion in this video. But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the Western Conference. Obviously, it's the more competitive conference, that's for sure. And with all that being said, can these teams kind of achieve what I'm trying to bring out there, as well as do you agree with the things that I'm mentioning as well? So let's get started. The first team we're going to talk about is the Utah Jazz, one of the worst teams in the Western Conference as we speak. And I think personally, the first thing that they need to do is trade Lauri Markkanen, and I think they need to do it this season. Now, I just mentioned something that's probably going to be very hard to do, and it's not because Lauri is not a good player. Look, I'm a Bulls fan. I've seen Lauri Markkanen play for my team game in and game out. I know he's a great player. I know he's a very great big man, one of the most diverse big men in the league. Offensively is just insane to watch sometimes. See him in the Eurobasket as well. He plays really well there, or in those practice games that I saw, he did really, really well there. The guy's a machine. It's not because he's a bad player. I actually think it's quite the opposite. I think he's one of the only Utah Jazz players at the moment that has immense trade value. Unfortunately, it is hard to do because his contract is ridiculous. As I'm reading now, he's on a 5-year, $238 million contract. And I think it was extended. So this was done in August 2024. So he's literally at the very beginning of that contract, which makes it hard for any team to kind of acquire in that standpoint. But I feel like it has to be done. And I'll tell you why it has to be done. One, they're the worst team in the West. And Lauri Markkanen no longer fits that time frame. He's 28 years old. How are you going to build a team around Lauri Markkanen at the moment? I just don't think it's possible. By the time you get remotely close to finding a team that you could build around Lauri Markkanen, Lauri's going to be up there in age and maybe a decline begins to happen. So I think you have to take the initiative and take the tough risk and do it now. I think you need to trade Lauri Markkanen as soon as possible. Hopefully there's a team out there that is willing to take on that contract. You'll have to take on bad contracts yourself. You would have to try to find a way to match salaries, which will be very difficult in its own right. But you could get picks and draft capital in return. Yeah, you take the bad contracts, but you're bad anyway. Take those bad contracts. Use those expiring contracts if possible. And hopefully get that draft capital to build your future once again around that time frame. I just don't think Utah are there at the moment to be keeping Lauri Markkanen for the money that he is on. I just don't think, I think it's completely useless. And I don't see them getting better and better and better over the course of the next 3-4 years compared to the other teams in the West. It will take a lot of time to kind of build a team for the Utah Jazz. So in my opinion, I think you got to make that tough call. And I think it has to be done sooner than later. Next up, we've got the Portland Trail Blazers. The one specific need I want specifically from the Portland Trail Blazers is to limit the confusion of their organization at the moment. So you've got one side of the coin where they've got a very good young team that actually impressed a lot of people last season. And if you're asking a Portland fan how you feel about their current young squad, I think they would say they feel optimistic. They've got a couple of good young players that made a big difference in the organization. And they had a stretch, I think it was the month of February, if I'm not mistaken, where they played some really good basketball. And they showed a lot of people a lot of good things. And then recently, they only gone and traded for Jrue Holiday, and they brought back Damian Lillard. Now, there might be sentimental value with Damian Lillard there, but that is a very big confusing factor in their team. Now, for me, I actually like this deal. I like those deals that they did, but I feel like they need to explain it. if you know what I mean. They need to explain why they did the things that they have done, why they traded for Damian Lillard, why did they trade for Drew Holiday? Because I see this as a mentorship more than anything. I don't see Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard coming in and being the best dynamic duo and winning a championship for Portland. What I do see is two incredible players heading towards the end of their careers, ready to teach these young guys. And all I want is an explanation. Because if they have any other ambitions outside of that, I think this is where the mistakes can happen. Because I don't personally think they're going to be a team that's going to be winning a championship with Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday. I hope they don't think the same. I hope they do think the same, actually. And I hope they literally brought these guys in for whatever amount of money that they did bring them in for, so they could teach these young guys that are on the team how to win and how to be successful in doing so. That's why I hope they've done it. I think a better explanation needs to be put out there, because outside of that, I actually like the moves. I like what they've done. Damian Lillard on the deal that he's got is incredible. It's a very good deal. Drew Holiday is a very good player and can bring a lot to any team. But I really hope it's for a mentorship role, and I hope they explain it as such. That's what I think Portland needs to do. The Sacramento Kings, I'm going to be brutally honest with Sacramento, because I've seen this saga with the Chicago Bulls. I have seen what a team with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan together looks like. I have seen what a team with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and a big man in Sabonis, where we had it with Vucevic, looks like. And I've also seen what a team with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and a good center, which in this case would be Sabonis, without point guard help. I've seen it all. I will say this much with Sacramento. I think their fans are incredible, and I think they deserve success. I think they deserve to win multiple playoff series, and I hope one day, with that fan base, with that incredible environment, I love the Sacramento Kings environment a lot. I don't think this team is it, personally, because I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. And sure, it might be a different environment, different coaching. There's a lot of things that are different with the Sacramento Kings, but some things just stay the same. I don't think a team with Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan is going to work out well for your organization. They're both terrific players. I love DeMar DeRozan a lot. DeMar DeRozan is such an underrated player. It's unbelievable. I'm so sick of when people trash talk DeMar DeRozan. I get genuinely so tired of it. And Zach LaVine, I mean, I don't think he's a max contract player. Look, I did when he was playing for the Bulls. As time has gone on, and even on a new team, I think he's starting to show that max contract is probably not the level he is on at this point in time. So I do think you need to break it up. I think you need to go in a different direction. Maybe you trade both of them. Maybe you trade one of them. But I just don't think a team with Zach and DeMar is going to work out for you. I think the best you could get is the play-in tournament. The worst you could get is maybe 13th or 14th in the league, like especially in this Western Conference. It's going to be up to Sacramento and, of course, those two players and that team together to prove me wrong. Sabonis is better than Vucevic, and I think they have more guard help than we did when we brought them in there, but I still don't think it's going to work out well for the Sacramento Kings. So that's my one thing they need to do. I think they need to separate those two players and go in a different direction. I feel bad for them because they were kind of forced into this direction. I mean, I think they would have preferred to keep De'Aaron Fox than bring in a Zach LaVine, for example, but they were forced into this and they're trying to make do now. So I think it's time to assess and potentially maybe switch things up a little bit. Moving on. Again, sorry, Sacramento fans. Feel free. Again, I would love for them to prove me wrong because I love both of those players. If Sacramento wins a championship, I'll tell you what, I'll buy a beam and I will light them. Maybe not. I'll buy like another neon light, bro. I'll press that button myself, bro, and we'll light the beam together. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see it with that team at the moment. Anyway, the New Orleans Pelicans is next. What I think they need is to hurry up and make a decision about Zion Williamson. Zion is 25 years old and unfortunately riddled with injuries. Big time. they've already made moves that, in my opinion, is going to make them a team that's probably going to be looking more towards rebuilding. But it's still not set in stone. And that is where I think the confusion lies. Are you going to build around Zion again? Do you want to build around Zion again? Can you trust that Zion will be healthy enough to be able to be the vocal point in the new team you're trying to establish? And if there isn't a way for Zion to be that, they need to trade him, because his value right now, in my opinion, is his highest. 25 years of age, all-star level player, and still young enough where teams will believe he can overcome the injury crisis he is currently in. You wait 2-3 years, that value goes down dramatically. At least maybe the contract will be the big bonus there if you do wait a couple of years. But I think his peak value is now. So I think they need to make that decision. Either you build around him and you do it quickly, or you realize maybe he's just not worth building around and you go and trade him to another team that will be willing to take that chance. Maybe a team that's more in a competitive environment than where the Pelicans are right now. That's what I think they need to do. They need to pick a decision in that department, and they need to stick with it, and they need to go 100% at it. Zion, in my opinion, is worth building around. Even at the injury crisis he is in, even with the social media scandals that he is in. Off-camera, off-court drama. I still think he's good enough to be building around. But if you don't believe he's going to overcome injuries, if you don't believe he's going to be a player that can, I guess, improve in his fitness levels and all those sort of things, just try to get rid of him now and save your franchise from a headache. I think they tried to do this with Anthony Davis. They held on for him for far too long. And it was Anthony Davis that forced the trade away from the New Orleans Pelicans. You know, he was the one that kind of requested it to go. Don't leave it too late with Zion. You could still get peak value for him. You got good value with Anthony Davis as well, but still, you could get good value for Zion. Just don't wait too late, and don't wait until the point where it ruins your franchise for another 10 years. That's what I have for the New Orleans Pelicans. The Phoenix Suns, I mean, I don't necessarily think they're going to be competitive this season with the losing of Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal saying peace out and leaving. What I think the Phoenix Suns need, I mean, I think they're going to need to kind of rebuild again, go for some draft capital and, you know, picking certain players. They've got a couple of big men into their team in the draft. What I think they need is point guard help. Now, I've said this in the past, and I want to make things clear. I don't think Devin Booker's a bad point guard, because he was playing point guard a lot for the Phoenix Suns. My problem is, when Devin Booker goes to the bench, what happens to Phoenix? Where is Phoenix going to get any offense? Where is Phoenix going to get any structure? I don't think they do. That's the problem with Phoenix. If you want to start Devin Booker as the point guard, that's fine. Me personally, I like him better as sort of the scorer of the team, as someone that can enter the post. He's a phenomenal post player. Very, very much underrated in that department. He can get his shot from anywhere. 3-level scorer. Yes, he can play make, and I'm not saying you should take the ball away from him completely. I think they just need more point guard help beyond Devin Booker. That's what I think they need. If there's any chance for them competing, this is exactly how I felt with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal on the team. There's just no point guard help. Bradley Beal's not a point guard. Kevin Durant is not a point guard. Devin Booker was forced to play that role. He did it well. He did very well. But at the end of the day, once Devin Booker went out, where's the point guard help? Cameron Payne? I mean, look, I like Cameron Payne, but I feel like they just needed more. They just needed they needed a Chris Paul. You know, they traded Chris Paul. I think they needed a Chris Paul so badly in those seasons, but it is what it is. You know, mistakes were made in my opinion there, and those are things you can't take back. So I think they need more point guard help. That's my one need for them if they're going to have any success for this season and for future seasons. The Memphis Grizzlies. Here's the thing about Memphis. I think what they've done this season has been very good. I think they've done all the right things. I think they realized very quickly that the team that they had with Desmond Bane and Ja Morant wasn't going to work out very well, and it wasn't going to get any better than what it already did, and they went in a different direction quickly. And they did it so they could build around Ja Morant at still a young age that he is. They also did a couple of good things in terms of they got great value for Desmond Bane in that trade. They got 4 first-round picks, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even a couple of pick swaps. I don't remember the exact trade, but they got good value for Desmond Bane. They should be very happy with that trade that they pulled off, in my opinion. They got a couple of good guys like Zach Edey. Very, very good player. Very good big man for them. They got things in place, in my opinion, to make them very competitive in a few years' time. But, unfortunately, they're a team right now riddled with off-the-camera, off-the-court issues. And specifically, Ja Morant. Look, it's an easy target when you talk about Memphis in that area. Maybe it is a cop-out answer, but in my opinion, a small market like Memphis shouldn't be a team that's filled with off-the-court issues like this. With Ja Morant, their superstar player, the player they're paying the big bucks to be the franchise player of the team. You know, I feel like we're getting to the point where this off-the-court business is affecting on-the-court business. And that's where things get frustrating. There are loads of players with off-the-court business. Loads of players. Loads of players getting exposed left, right, and center. Loads of players doing some really, really shady things. Loads of players talking openly about these shady things. But with Ja Morant, some of the things he has done is insane. And with that being said, that, in my opinion, impacts on the court business. Of course, these injuries do as well. But to me, that affects his on-the-court business. Ja Morant's a talented player. I just wish for the Memphis Grizzlies, their one need is to limit those off-the-court issues. I wish just for a season, we don't have to hear about Ja Morant doing something crazy outside of the game of basketball. Just for a season. And see how they go. Because in my opinion, all it takes is one season for Memphis to turn things around on the court. I really believe that. Ja Morant, we forget how good he is. We forget how good he is. And we forget how good the Memphis Grizzlies were when he's on the court. It's very clear. When Ja Morant was off the court, they became one of the worst teams in the league. Maybe not to that extent, but they were bad. They weren't great. Ja Morant makes everything tick for that team. So all they need now is just one season of peace and quiet off the court and let them work. Let that team work. Let them make those decisions. Let them make the right decisions because they've been doing it. And see where they are in 2 seasons' time. They could very much be back in a position where they're fighting in playing tournaments and playoffs and being competitive and trash talking other teams, being in the grindhouse. That's what I want from Memphis. I want them to be the grindhouse again, the doghouse, whatever they called it. I want them to be a place where they come in. You don't want to face Memphis again. You don't want to face the Memphis Grizzlies because they are going to tire the heck out of you. They're going to make you feel worthless and crap, and they're going to just absolutely beat you up in every way. But I don't think they could do that with all the off-the-court issues because it's just going to take away from what they do on the court. I spent a lot of time on Memphis. I'm going to move on, but that's what I think they need to do. They need to just find a way to quiet down their off-the-court issues. San Antonio Spurs is next. I've already talked about San Antonio recently. There are 2 areas where I feel like they need big improvements. Defensively, I think they need improvements. And 3-point shooting wise, I think they need improvements. I'm going to go for this video because I mentioned a lot about their defense last video. I'm going to switch it up and go for their 3-point shooting. They've got a lot of things in place. I mean, defensively, they've got one of the best rim protectors in the league. So it's more perimeter defense that they need to focus on. They've got the pick and roll to absolutely dominate the league. And they've got the star power. De'Aaron Fox and Wemby, in my opinion, is one of the biggest duos to look out for. And I have a video about that coming up relatively soon as well, about the dynamic duos of the league. De'Aaron Fox, Wemby are going to be one of them, without a shadow of a doubt. But what's going to hurt them mostly is when the pick and rolls are covered and they're out here doing all sorts of things, the blitzes and all that sort of stuff, the double teams off the pick and rolls, making it very uncomfortable for the ball handler and for the roller. When they find those open corners and they find those catch and shoot opportunities, the San Antonio Spurs need to improve from the 3-point line. They need to be a threat from the perimeter. They absolutely have to be. Otherwise, things will get very predictable very quickly, and teams will not focus on the three-point line. Look, I'm a Bulls fan. I know this is experience. 2 years ago, we were the worst three-point shooting team in the league. They were playing zones on us because they knew we could not shoot the three to save our life. The Spurs need to be a better threat than the Bulls were at that time. They need to be, in my opinion, within the average range. 10 to 15 is what I think they need to be from the three-point line to be one of the biggest threats in the league. They can't be in the bottom half of the league from the three-point line. That's what I think the Spurs need to be. That's their needs. I hope they've already improved upon it. We'll have to wait and see. The Dallas Mavericks, I mentioned this as well, Cooper Flagg. I think they're going to need Cooper Flagg to become a leader in that team sooner than later, for a variety of reasons. One, their team is filled with injury-prone players. Anthony Davis is an injury-prone player. Love him, but he's injury-prone. Klay Thompson has been injury-prone. Kyrie Irving is out. He's going to have at least the bare minimum. He's going to have leaders around him off the court. Kyrie Irving is going to be a mentor off the court. By the way, Kyrie Irving, man. Can I say he's one of the funnest players in the league? Anyway, let's move on. But Kyrie Irving, oof, can't wait for him to come back. Anthony Davis is going to be a veteran leader. Klay Thompson, championship experience beyond belief. Having someone like that on your team as a mentor, even if he's not on the court all the time, is incredible. But on the court, sometimes the young guys need to step up and become the leaders. This is what I mentioned. If everybody's healthy for the Dallas Mavericks and Anthony Davis has a full season of health, Klay Thompson has a full season of health, Cooper Flagg doesn't need to be the direct leader on the court. He could be what he is, and that's a team player that makes the right team plays. But if Anthony Davis is off the court, especially Anthony Davis, because he's the number one option on that team right now, and Klay Thompson isn't healthy, Kyrie Irving is out, you have D'Lo in there who is a very good scorer in of his own right, but that's when you need to bring Cooper Flagg in to be the leader and to step up and to be that number one option and to be that number one overall pick that everybody expects him to be. It's not about stats for me with Dallas and Cooper Flagg. It really is just about whether or not Cooper Flagg can become a leader of that team. Because when everybody does come back, when Kyrie comes back, when Klay comes back, a year of Cooper Flagg under his belt, Anthony Davis, that team, in my opinion, is very close to championships. Very close. But if Cooper Flagg doesn't really step up as that leader, then he might fall to the wayside when all those guys come back. And we cannot see that happen with a number one overall pick. So I really think it's about leadership and finding that leadership with Cooper Flagg. That's what I think they need. The LA Clippers is next. I'll put this simply. I think the LA Clippers needs pace in their team. They got a lot of veterans. Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard. A lot of vets on that team. A lot of high IQ players. But we saw this with the Cleveland Cavaliers a few years ago with LeBron, D. Rose, Dwayne Wade, Kevin Love. That was an old team, high IQ team, but they could not keep up with the young guys. They could not keep up with the pace of the league. That's what I fear. I think the best way the Clippers are going to beat you is if they slow the game down, beat you in isolation, wow, sorry for swearing there. Poof, beat you in the post, and overall, just play at that tempo. But if there's any team in the league that's going to disrupt that tempo, good luck to them. I don't think they're going to be able to handle it very well. I feel like they need more run and they need more pace in their team. I see them being dead last in transition. And I don't think that's going to help them win championships in the future. But they're also a team to watch, because if they can dictate the play every single game, they're going to be a hard team to stop, and they'll beat you with their lack of pace from time to time. It's interesting. In an era of fast pace, they're going to be the one playing the slow tempo. I'm intrigued to see how it works for them. The Houston Rockets, to me, they are finally set for a championship. It's about team chemistry. When Kevin Durant comes into your team, he walks in, he could either be a disruptor or he could be the elevator. Let me give you an example. He can walk in as a disruptor if the teammates around him can't accept that he's the main guy on that team now. Kevin Durant is going to be him on that team. And they needed Kevin Durant. They needed that scorer that can help them in the playoffs, and that's exactly what Kevin Durant is. But if there are certain guys on that team that can't accept that Kevin Durant is going to be him, he will be a disruptor. He'll come in and disrupt the rest of the players' flow, and it could affect their team chemistry. But it could be an elevator as well. Kevin Durant is a willing passer. I say it every year because I feel like it gets ignored every year. He's a willing passer. He's a team player. He elevates his teammates. He talks so positively about almost everybody on his team. I've never heard him trash talk his teammates directly. Never seen him call out players. He's very big on social media. He likes to talk, but he's never talked badly about his teammates. So he's going to come in as a team player just as much as anyone, right? If they could get the team chemistry in from the very beginning, he will elevate almost everyone. He will elevate the starters. He'll elevate the bench players. 100% he'll elevate those bench players. Make them a lot better than what they're probably expected to be. And they're going to be a shoo-in for a championship, in my opinion. I think they're going to be a team to watch in that area. You should be very scared of the Houston Rockets. I think a training camp is going to be massive for them. They need to get that team chemistry in order from the very get-go, and then watch out for what business they're going to be bringing to the table. The Minnesota Timberwolves, to me, there's a lot of issues there. Obviously, they kind of got their front court set. Obviously, they've got Anthony Edwards set. They've got a couple of role players in there. They re-signed Naz Reid, if I'm not mistaken. So they've done a lot of good things. Mike Conley is a very good player, but I'm looking at that point guard area for them, and I think that's where improvements need to lie. I did some research. I searched up what players I feel like the Minnesota Timberwolves could need, because they're a very difficult team to talk about in terms of improvements, even though they got embarrassed in the Western Conference with the OKC Thunder. They got embarrassed. It's hard to say one need, but I feel like they need more ball handling. I feel like they need someone that can really help in that area. They actually gave me a suggestion, because all I did was search I searched what need do the Minnesota Timberwolves truly need to have, and they mentioned ball handling, and then they mentioned Malcolm Brogdon, and it's like a big light bulb just kind of entered the fray. They do need a Malcolm Brogdon. Do you know how good Malcolm Brogdon would be alongside of an Anthony Edwards? Malcolm Brogdon is Mr. Consistent. This guy could do everything on the court. He can shoot, he can drive, he can defend, he can play make. He makes the right reads almost every time, and he's playing for the Washington Wizards right now. If I'm Minnesota, you should be swooping in there and just ears open, see what they want. And I think you should go and get him. It reminded me of Marcus Smart. I feel like Marcus Smart would be perfect for Minnesota as well, but he recently signed with the Lakers, so that's going to be off the table for them. Malcolm Brogdon, I think there's a chance you could drag him out of Washington. It's not like Washington are fighting for anything. You give them a good package, maybe some draft picks or something, you could be in business there. I think that could be tremendous. But all in all, more ball handling, and I think a very capable defender next to Anthony Edwards. Imagine having Mike Conley and Malcolm Brogdon as your starting point guard and bench point guard options. Oh my goodness, they're going to be a tough team. It's like OKC. They have all defenders on their team. So, getting more defensive help is not going to be the worst thing in the world, especially in that guard position. I think that's what they need to do. And speaking of depth and adding more depth from the bench, we're talking about the Denver Nuggets next. And it's clear as day they need depth. They need depth, especially in the bench, in the center positions, mainly. They had DeAndre Jordan for a little bit. He's okay. Very athletic center still. But, I think they need someone that can do a little bit more than what DeAndre Jordan can do at this current point in their season. And to put it this way, when Jokic is off the court, they're one of the worst teams in the league. Jokic literally takes them to a championship team. It really feels like in many ways the championship is built on his back, which is not the case because they've got Jamal Murray, they've got Aaron Gordon. Their starting five is actually quite good, and they don't even have Russell Westbrook anymore. That depth is potentially getting worse and worse by the year. They've got new coaching, fair enough. I don't think they needed a coaching change, but they got it. I fear for their depth. I fear for what happens when Jokic is off the court. God forbid, I pray this never happens. Jokic gets hurt. because I'm fearful of what will happen to Denver if that happens. So depth is a big issue I feel like they need to address. And now we talk about the reigning champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Probably the hardest team to talk about here because I think they've got damn near everything on their side. They've got the MVP of the league. They've got the best defensive team in the league. Their team is still extremely young. They've paid all of their big guys. So ultimately, what can I really say as an improvement for the reigning champions at the moment? What can I say? And here's what I can say. Keep picking right in the draft. That's my need for them. They still have draft capital. People say they should get rid of it. Don't get rid of your draft capital. I'll tell you why. The NBA right now is at a point where luxury tax and second aprons are the big talking point of the league. And that's why most teams separate from time to time. OKC right now have a foundation to build a legacy team for the next 10 years. How they do that? Sometimes you let big players go, but if you are drafting the right players, you can slot them right in there. And they could be part of that legacy team for a long, long time. Do not get rid of your draft capital. Do not get rid of your draft assets. You've paid big guys, but in 5 years' time, those big guys might be on different teams. Maybe outside of Shea or Chet. Ultimately, there will be guys that you love so much right now that in 5 years' time, the OKC Thunder will be forced to get rid of. So if you're continually drafting the right assets every season, making the right business moves, the right moves to your organization, picking your needs and everything in between, those pieces could hopefully become, I guess you could say, replaceable. Even if you can't see it now, in 5 years' time, you might see it then. Do not get rid of your draft capital and continue to make the right decisions in the draft, and let's see where it goes. Because they are set for a long time success. I'm not going to say they're going to win a championship every year, but they're going to be in the conversation more times than not. We got the Lakers next. Lakers are a hard team to talk about because I feel like the only thing that screams in my mind about the Lakers is just LeBron James, because I just don't know what LeBron James you're going to get. I don't know if you're going to get a LeBron James that is thinking about retirement and having a retirement tour. That takes away from what they're trying to do and win a championship. I don't know if you're going to get a LeBron James that's going to be any worse than what he was last season with this recent injury he sustained. I don't know if he's going to impact the game the same way that he used to. These are the questions I have. So the one need that I feel like the Lakers should be asking themselves is, can they get a LeBron James that is going to make the same impacts that he's done last season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons ago? Because the guy's getting up there in age and he's clearly contemplating retirement. And look, if there's a retirement tour, maybe you throw success out of the window for a season. They did that with Kobe. No one could care about the Lakers having a rubbish season with Kobe's last season, because all they wanted to do was just remember the greatness of Kobe. Maybe that's how Lakers fans and the NBA in general will feel about the Lakers, but they're in position now to be a playoff team and to make a serious push. I think what makes them a successful team will be the type of LeBron they see when the season begins. If they see a LeBron that is only focusing on getting through the season and just enjoying his retirement tour, that's not what the Lakers need. They need the killer that LeBron James is. But if they get that killer, I think that this is the best chance they've got in a long time to win that championship. Because they've made the right moves. They made the Marcus Smart move. They made the DeAndre Ayton move. They fixed their areas where they were weak. So how could I not say they're in it for a chance at least to win a championship? It'll be difficult. They're not the favorites, but they're in the conversation. And that's where they need to be. And they need some killers to really seal the deal for them. LeBron James is one of the best killers there is in the NBA today. That's the version they need to see. Last but not least, the Golden State Warriors. My goodness. Another year under their belt with Jimmy Butler could be incredible for them. Draymond Green being the defensive juggernaut still. Stephen Curry is still Stephen Curry. Yeah, you could say he's not what he was in 2016, but he's still a phenomenal asset. Great player, one of the greatest point guards to ever live. And he is still a great three-point shooter. My biggest issue with the Warriors is their weakness in the center position. I mean, they love small ball, clearly. They've been running small ball for the past 10 years. But I think they need a change. And I don't know why they haven't gone for Nikola Vucevic yet, because I feel like he's the perfect place for them. You know, he's the perfect player for them. And the Kuminga saga is still an ongoing theme. So they do have some needs to figure out. But I'm going to say the center position. Because Kuminga has made it very clear he doesn't want to stay there. So I don't feel like that's a need for them. They just got to get rid of him. It's as simple as that. Find the best sign and trade, get it done, move on. They need a center. They need a center. Whether it's Bam Adebayo, Nikola Vucevic, whatever other center out there in the league that's on the market, they need a different option than what they have. Because I think that is their biggest weakness at the moment. It could be a 7-foot tall Nikola Vucevic. It could be a smaller Bam Adebayo that's fit their system before. I think he's the perfect replacement for a guy like a Kevon Looney and stuff of that nature. So that's where I feel like their weakness is. They have to address it. Maybe they still will before the season begins. But we're heading into training camp now, very soon. So maybe it's a mid-season sort of thing for them. But that's what they're fighting for. They only have a small window left. So 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is, that's how much they have left in the tank. They've got to get this center situation sorted very quickly. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Ultimately, once again, I'm just one person. I don't watch these teams each and every single game, night in and night out. I'm not an NBA analyst that has the time to watch every game, to watch every stat, to have people that, even if I'm not watching the game, that have people running the stats for me. I'm just one person. I have a full-time job. I don't watch the NBA on a regular basis like I used to. It's just my opinions here, with a little bit of research, but just my opinions mostly. So I'm sorry if I disrespected your team. I'm sorry if you think I'm wrong about your team. The only thing I can ask for you is to let me know what you guys think. What do you think about these teams and their specific needs? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'm happy to change my answer. If you think the Sacramento Kings are going to win a championship next season, by all means, give me reasons why. If you think the Pelicans are going to build around Zion and they shouldn't trade him, by all means, tell me why. If you think that Utah should keep Lowry, by all means, tell me why. If you think the Warriors don't need a center, by all means, tell me why. I would love to hear all of your opinions on this. From the bottom of my heart, I mean that. Please, feel free, share your comments. Educate this stupid man right... Oh, okay, I'm not going to call myself stupid. Let's not get carried away here. But this uneducated man on the NBA. Tell me. Talk to me. I'm a human. I can talk back. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you guys in another video. Yeah, I'm definitely taking a couple days break after this. Like, I'm just going to let this sit. I want these videos to do well. So, you know, the next video that I do... I'm doing all this in a day, by the way, but... when I upload them, I upload the East and the West. I might take a day or two to not upload anything. Let those videos sit for a bit because they're quite a handful. Both of them are very long. This one's nearly 40 minutes. The other one was nearly half an hour. Let them sit. Let people watch them. And then we'll get back to a couple of other things in a few days' time. Have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.